This video is sponsored by Cricut. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Akiba. I am a certified teacher turned homeschool mom, and on this channel I make videos for people who are passionate about providing their children with a great education and make inspirational videos for a fun and happy childhood. Today I'm starting the process of making over my children's bedroom. We love reading and knowledge in our family, so when I saw this photograph of this author and bibliophile who painted the first page of Harry Potter on her wall, I immediately wanted to replicate it using one of the best childhood stories, Charlotte's Web, which my girls and I have been reading together every year since they were little. However, that project took her 60 hours to complete, and after reading her blog and watching another video of someone doing the same, taking about the same amount of time, I knew I could do it more efficiently. I figured I can't be the only one who thinks this gorgeous bookish wall is a great idea, so today I'm going to show you how I did it in way less time using the Cricut Joy. So a little background: the creator, whose name is Meredith, thought this would be a weekend project. She used a technique we often use as teachers. She projected the words on the wall, traced the words in pencil, and then hand painted each word. In her blog, Meredith said she thought it would take about 2 hours to trace all the words, but it ended up taking 20 minutes to trace just the first 4 words. In total, it took her 20 hours to trace the words and 40 hours to paint the words. 60 hours total. This photo went viral. News outlets picked it up, and everyone asked, why didn't you just buy a vinyl or stencil and put it up on the wall? Meredith explained that that's really expensive. I checked on Etsy, and people are charging about $30 per square foot of custom vinyl. Now that's fine if you're just making an entry sign for your home, but it looks like she had a 10 by 7 foot wall. That could have cost her around $2,100 to complete. But don't worry, I'm going to show you how to do it for around $300, and it will only take you 1 weekend. I'm going to be using the Cricut Joy to make the vinyl letters, and at the time of this video, the Joy costs $129. Don't be intimidated by the technology. It's extremely easy to use. Even though this particular project takes time, a beginner can do it. If you love what you see and don't want to do this big of a project, there are many smaller projects you can do with the Cricut Joy, from iron-on clothing to cards and custom gifts. Planning the size of your font is the first part. This is the Cricut design space. It's simple to use. I'll give you a 15-second overview. You put the design you want to make here. Tell the machine the type of material you are using, and the machine cuts the design. Once it's finished, you weed out the extra material and put your design on the desired material. I wanted the whole first page to take up the entire wall from floor to ceiling, so I measured the wall, decided how many lines I need on the wall, and came up with a font size that would make the letters about 3 to 3.5 inches tall. Looking back, I should have gone a bit smaller so that I could have space to format the wall exactly like in the book, but I didn't. The Cricut Joy can make really long cuts, so it's perfect for making an assembly line of products, like if you're making a bunch of logos for a shirt, but also for signs and bigger projects like this. With this project in mind, I ordered 10 of the 20-foot long black removable vinyl, and I ended up using 7 plus 2 extra because I messed up. Now, even though it can cut up to 20 foot of vinyl, if you make one straight line here, it's going to give you an error. You have to make each cut fit within the 4.5 inch by 48 inch space. So right here, I can see that my first 2 lines are going to require 8 feet of length on my wall, and these 5 lines are 20 feet. You can definitely make your words smaller than this, and they will still be very visible on your wall. Now, you'll have 2 options when cutting this project. You can stop when the project reaches 20 feet and do a cut, or you can write out your whole page, and the Cricut will stop after every 20 feet and tell you to unload and load another sheet. The benefit of allowing the Cricut to do multiple cuts is you don't really have to keep a close eye on it. You just reload the mat after every 20 feet. Also, the Cricut will use as much space as possible to cut, so you'll have less wasted product. The downside is that in an attempt to use the space efficiently, some words may be put out of order. Some spaces also may be omitted. So I had to spend time arranging the words back in the correct order. You can prevent this, of course, by welding, but I didn't want to. But I will say I changed the order anyway because sometimes I'd get close to that 48-inch mark and the next word wouldn't fit. Well, I don't want to waste 3 inches, so instead I put a little word like to or the at the end of the line and move the bigger word onto the next line. Also, you may get errors if you have a tall capital in the same line as a Q or P because the distance from the top of the capital letter to the bottom of the letter that hangs is greater than the 4.5 inches allowed. So I chose to do all the cuts at once. There's really nothing to this part. You just load and go. First, the Cricut Joy runs the entire roll to make sure there's enough vinyl. Then it starts cutting. Make sure this area is as dust and debris free as possible. I put down some blankets so that when it hit the floor, it wouldn't pick up large pieces of debris that would get under the blade. I also wiped it down after the cut. Now it's time to weed. We're just using this little tool to get anything we're not using off. I just sat down and watched the marathon of Dr. Quinn Medicine Woman. It took the Joy 15 minutes to cut each 20-foot piece, and it took me about 15 minutes to weed each 20-foot piece, so I just weeded as the machine cut. So all in all, this part took about 2 hours, including having to do a few lines over that I later would mess up. By this point, with the measuring of the wall, finding the perfect font, planning the cut, I was about 4 hours in. Here I marked every 4.5 inches so there would be good spacing between each line, and I used this leveler to draw 26 even lines. That took around 45 minutes, making sure every line was perfect. Now, I thought at this point I was almost done. Maybe I thought I had 1 or 2 hours left. Theoretically, I think I should have been, but I'm going to show you why it ends up taking a little bit longer. So, in order to get the cut vinyl onto your surface, you can just peel it with your hands, or you can use the transfer tape to pick it up and then put it on your surface. I have done this so many times before, and it really only takes a minute or so, but never had I done so many individual letters and words like this. So each word took on average 2 minutes to transfer, and so at 155 words, that came to over 5 hours. And because I had to keep getting down off my step stool, organizing, checking each line, I actually spent 20 minutes per line for a grand total of 8.5 hours. So from planning this project, weeding, putting all the words up, that is a grand total of about 12 hours, which I still think is a win because it is a fifth of the 60 hours it would have taken to paint the wall. And if I had a buddy or two, we could have made that gone by a lot faster. Here's another hint. Don't try to use the strong grip. They say it on the packaging. It's not meant for the vinyl. It picked up the words really easily, and I got really excited because this would have cut down my transfer time from 2 minutes to 30 seconds. But it's just so sticky that you can't transfer the words to the wall. So the strong grip is meant for the glitter vinyl. Just leave it for the glitter vinyl. But in the end, my solution next time will be just to have a buddy. This is not like painting the wall where it takes a steady hand. You're just basically placing stickers on a wall. So I'm going to show you my technique for using the transfer tape. First, dust your wall and dust the letters before you transfer. You can actually use the same transfer tape over and over, but with more dust, it becomes less sticky. I used 3 transfer tapes in total, and they were each about $3. You really only need to get one end to come up, then the rest of the letter goes pretty smoothly. So I press on one area hard and simultaneously lift the transfer tape up, and that seemed to do the trick. Just FYI, you can also just peel and stick the letters, but the machine cuts everything in a straight line, so I didn't want to make it look weird. I actually did peel and stick a few words up there, and I can definitely tell where those places are. So just keep going. Use your pencil marks to line up the first and last letter. Press the letters in place and slowly peel back at a 45-degree angle when removing the tape. The nice thing about vinyl is that it's very forgiving, so in the places where I made made mistakes, like forgetting a word, I just peeled off the mistake and had the Joy cut it out again. Yay! I'm finally done. Oh no, wait, I forgot to put the W. Let's do the W. I have the Cricut Maker, so I could just easily make this on my Cricut Maker. Because I know some of you will just have the Cricut Joy, I'll show you how to make a huge letter on the Cricut Joy. So I'm just going to measure how big I want it. So this is about 16 and a half by, what's the top of this? 16 and a half by 12. And it's probably going to be smaller than 16 and a half. Height of 12 is all that matters. The width doesn't really matter. Oh, let's go to design space. Finally, the W. As I stated earlier, the Cricut Joy will give you an error if you try to cut a project outside of its 4.5-inch parameter. So in order to cut a larger than matte letter, I'll show you how. We are just going to slice this W into 3 pieces so that the Joy can cut it. And then we'll just stick the pieces on the wall really close to each other. So we do that by getting a shape. And we're going to make this shape the size of the mat, which is going to be 4.5 by 48. So, oops. So we'll grab it, unlock this, and make this 4.5 by 48. Okay? Now I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees, actually, because if I do it this way, that's going to be too many cuts. So I'll rotate this 90 degrees. Oops, it probably went down here. Yep, there it is. And I'm going to duplicate it. I'm going to just copy paste 3 times. So you see 2 doesn't quite cover it. We try to get these to be lined up right next to each other. Not overlapping, just right up next to each other if you can. Okay, that looks pretty good. It's not going to be exactly perfect, but, and then we are going to actually move the W to the top so that we can see it. Oh, look, such little space right here. We're going to use all of this space just to make this W. So that's why I would personally just do it on my Maker. But if you can't, or if you're making a larger than matte project, okay. And so now what we're going to do, we're going to click the W and each cut. So the W in this one, oh, you can see over here what it's selected, but I can just go like this also. So I have both of these selected, and I'm going to right click and put slice. So I've just sliced those, and then I'm going to do the same. And you see over here, it's made like these weird little slice cuts. And then I'm going to click this one and the second part of the W. And again, we're going to slice it. And then again, this bottom. And the W, which I believe is still this at the top. And we will slice it again. All right. And now when we go to, I'm actually going to delete. You see that it's spliced into 3 pieces. And so now when we go to make it, this looks like it's actually sliced into, I don't think I need this part. I think I did it twice. I don't think I need this part. So when we click make, you'll see how it is. And we'll just put these 3 pieces together. 36 inches. So there are some places where I messed up. For example, here, I don't know why I put the capital Y so close here when I have space right here, but I did. And so that can be fixed like I just fixed the one at the top, but I'm going to leave it for now. So that is it, the whole thing. If you've watched this video the whole way through, thank you so much. I would love to see pictures of your completed project. So tag me on Instagram if you end up doing this project. And if you don't feel like doing something so big, check out the Cricut Joy. There's tons of projects you can do from small to large.